the middle children of history, man. No purpose or place. We have no Great War, no Great Depression. Our Great War is a spiritual war.
With the way people are talking about migration and all these other things. And, of course, racism is always in your face. And personally, I think, it's kind of on a spectrum. I consider it to be situationally aware, like your situation. You migrated here from Mexico and, you've been living your life since.
I'm from Vietnam.
I guess I'm not as situationally aware as I thought. I've never heard you speak before.
What is going on? Hold on. There we go.
You didn't like it's all small?
No. Well, yes, but
Have y'all ever seen King Pix Media before? He's hilarious.
I'm gonna have to follow him. That was funny.
Yeah, he's really funny. So I think he was a cook in the army. And so now he's got out and he does all these videos and he acts like he owns a training company, combat studies group, something. He changes the name all the time. But he has a shirt that just says "Wins Chow," because that's like when you're in boot or you're like right after boot and you're in your MOS school, that's the only thing you worry about: when's mail and when's chow. It's a great channel, man. He's hilarious. Sorry we're a little late. My internet was a little wonky, and yes, in fact, we are out of reconstruction now. Just so you know, we have Wi-Fi and running Wi.
That's a perfect time for his Wi-Fi to go down again. You cut out right as you said that.
And it's horrible. So my internet, like I have fiber to the house,
yeah,
and then I have mesh from there, and it's kind of like a daisy chain. Where I'm at now, I'm at the farthest part of my property in my shop, and so sometimes the internet gets a little crazy out here. But it's been
the more you keep avoiding Babylon separated from your normal life, the better.
Yeah, my son, he goes, "Are you going on that avoiding Babylon again?"
Oh no,
like baby.
It's from King Pix Media on Instagram. King Pix Media.
He's good. Another good one is Veteran with a Sign. That guy's hilarious too. You'll see some stuff on there from him occasionally as we keep going. I'm gonna send y'all all the really inappropriate videos for y'all to watch.
All the videos we try to save you from watching by doing this show, we're just gonna feed directly to you.
We're just gonna immerse you directly into them. Avoided Babylon.
Avoiding Babylon. Oh man. The only thing I want to bring up before we get into the meat of the show is, as of this morning, we are 3 sales away from hitting 100 sales on our Protect Catholic Kids shirt that we came up with to help support the parish in victims and families of the Annunciation school shooting. We were only like $20 away from hitting $1,000 that will be donated. So all the proceeds from the sale of these shirts will go directly to the parish and the families. And I just got the shirts that I ordered for my kids in, so they're gonna be rocking that. And
Nice.
I was actually wearing one of mine. This it was on Saturday when where we live. We have to drive an hour to do anything, shop, get haircuts, anything. So I took the boys to get haircuts, and we went out to breakfast afterwards. And the cashier, who was probably a late teenage girl, saw the shirt and loved it and asked where to get it. So that was pretty cool to see, actually.
Cool. Was that like it's almost $1,000? You'll do it like $10 per shirt, right?
It depends on the shirt. Like the kid shirts, there's only like $6 of profit on those that are going to be donated, but on the adult shirts, it's about $10 of the price of that shirt will go directly to the victims, and then the rest is just the cost of producing the shirt.
How has this vendor been for y'all as compared to the last one?
So we switched to this almost immediately before doing this. We had only sold a few orders before trying to roll this out, so I was a little nervous because our last vendor, Teespring, was terrible, and there's still people waiting on stuff they ordered for Christmas last year. They can't get in contact with them. I can't get in contact with them. They owe us $500, and we can't. Like I said, I have no way of getting in contact with them, unfortunately. But this vendor, so far, I got my shirt in 2 or 3 days. The kids' shirts took a little longer, probably 4 or 5 days, but so far so good.
Good. I know. I ordered, like on that last vendor y'all had. I think I ordered the Mary's Your Personal Intercessor shirt.
Oh, yeah.
And I never get. Now, like they didn't never draft my account either. But the order was so at least I wouldn't out any money. But it was I never got, because to be honest with you, I'm only going to wear that at the gym. I don't really wear t-shirts out other than at the gym or around the farm, like if I'm going to get dirty. So I wear it at the gym. I'm sure because I live in Baptist, Alabama, so I'm sure I would get some looks at the gym. I get some looks now because occasionally I'll wear like my Troops of St. George shirt, or something. I get some guys will ask me what stuff it is. Like I've got like a water bottle's got all kinds of stickers on it, and the guy's like, what is that flag with the heart on it about? It's a good time to evangelize, but it's also a good time to figure out who's the angry Protestant and who's not.
I wore my shirt under a sport coat to Mass this weekend, and then after Mass we do a lot of our shopping, because when you drive 2 hours to the nearest like decently sized city to go to Mass, that's usually when you do your shopping too. So I took the sport coat off and wore just the shirt around the stores and stuff. And like the city we have our TLM in is a very, 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 very liberal city. So I was interested to see if anyone would make any comments, but no one did. So
how's that drive with the kids for 2 hours? Because I'm sure they're going nuts. Do you have like a TV or something for them to watch? Or
so they all get very motion sick if they look at anything besides out the window.
Like you have no rear facing ones?
We have just the infant, the newborn. Otherwise,
my kids could not do it rear facing because they got motion sickness.
Yeah,
it was bad. I remember my boy, he ate like 5 of those like Mandarin Oranges cups as I was taking my daughter to school, right? And halfway up, all it was nothing but like Mandarin Oranges down his shirt. I'm like, brother, you're not allowed to eat Mandarin Oranges no more.
No,
if you know that.
Yeah. We've had to move all our kids to front facing ahead of the supposed schedule. For that exact reason the motion sick. And trust me, there's one time, it was probably 4 to 6 weeks ago. I went to Mass not by myself. I went to Mass with my daughter, Mina. Hope stayed at home because she was very pregnant and not feeling well. So I'm like, well, I'll just, and the boys were at my mom. So I'm like, I'll just go to Mass with Mina. And me being dad didn't pack extra clothes. And of course we got all the way there. We were 10 minutes from Mass. And she threw up all over herself.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't quite make it to Mass that day. So overall, driving that far with now 4 kids to Mass, man, it's a pain. It really is, but I mean, it's worth it. But man, it is tough. It's one of those things where if I didn't believe it was worth it, we would not be doing it.
Yeah. We drive 45 minutes to Mass. And it's a hassle, and we're involved in everything. right? Like, cause we have like, flag football on the weekends there and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we're there for every feast day. And you just have to you just have to be willing to sacrifice a little bit of time of your Sunday to be able to do that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. Am I coming in broken and unreadable?
Every once in a while, but it's not super terrible. Anthony wants to know when my flight is tomorrow because him and I are going to Detroit to have some literal actual business meetings about the future of the channel. Anthony, I have to leave my home at 1:30 this morning. So by the time we get off here, I'm going to sleep for about 4 hours, wake up, get in the car, and go to the airport. Can't tell if Adrian's very still. Adrian. Oh, Adrian's out. Well, what the? Oh, no. What did you do? What is going on here?
Wait, you got to leave at 1:30?
Yeah, so my flight starts boarding at 4:40. I want to get
Wow.
our airport's super small. It's 4 gates. There's going to be 50 people there, so I'm not going to get there like the 2 hours early you're supposed to. But I do have to.
Oh
What's up,
no.
Paige? No, I'm just popping it for 5 seconds. I just wanted
But
check
I got to check a gun and check luggage. So I want to get there an hour early, and it's a 2-hour drive to the airport. So
I still got to
1:30
leave
it
my
is.
house at like 5:15. Like it's because to get to LaGuardia is like if it was no traffic, it's a 40-minute ride. But at that time, if I don't leave at 5:15, my flight's at 6:50. But if I don't leave at 5:15, I'll be late for my flight. So let me tell you something. Detroit may suck, but where we're going does not suck.
I saw the pictures, man.
It looks pretty freaking nice. So
I went and bought a gun just to. This is
show
gonna sound
off.
a little bit like a woman.
The last time I was in Detroit was I actually went to a church militant event there back in like 21, right?
Wow.
Before we all
This was
before we
during your
all found
emo
out
phase.
no, it was way after that. It was way after that.
Wait, Rob was about to admit that he bought a gun because it matches his outfit, I think.
Yeah.
It matches
Yeah.
his-
So see, Adrian, thank you.
You
So
guys are so
we're going to
cute.
a really nice place, and Ant and I are not suit sort of guys, but I'm bringing some sport coats to wear just in case. So I figured
I'm not bringing a suit. They better not want me in a suit.
I'm sure they just want us to, because like the
I'm
photos and
very
stuff are
presentable, but I'm not wearing a suit. Like it's just
right.
not
No,
happening.
but I'm like, what kind of gun would work with a suit jacket, a sport coat, in a very nice place? So I bought a Walther PPK.
Are you checking that through TSA?
Yes. Well,
God be with you, my brother.
I know. Okay, but here's the thing, and I thought about too, because it's not a cheap gun, right?
Mm.
But even my cheapest gun with the optic and light I have on it is more expensive than the Walther. So,
well, the problem with checking with TSA is the rules better than they do.
I know.
Like it's like they get no training pretty much, and they just throw them on the line, and give them a uniform.
How was it going to North Carolina, Rob? Was it difficult or everything flawless?
So getting there, fine, no problem. The problem is getting home, because just like on this upcoming trip, I'm going to land about 11:30. It's going to be the last flight into the airport before they close for the night. Coming back from North Carolina, I was at the back of the plane, so I was one of the last ones off the plane. Apparently, Delta has a policy. They have to hand you, someone physically hands you the bag. They can't put a bag with a gun in on any of the conveyor belts. So it's kind of nice because your bag's not getting thrown around as much.
They keep it on the plane. They don't like they keep it not in the luggage compartment.
No, they keep it in the luggage compartment.
But okay. They just can't put it on the conveyor.
Right. It's got to be carried by hand. The problem is, since I was the last one off the plane and it was the end of the day and there was only 30, 40, 50 people on the plane, when they my bag must have been the first one off, and they hand carried out the baggage, and I wasn't there to claim it. They put it in some back office, and everyone left for the night.
Man.
So I found the security guard. I'm like, you guys have my firearm stored somewhere in one of your closets. I'm sure you don't want it there. So can you go find it? And it took about an hour
Yeah.
of me waiting there in the middle of the night.
Were you able to get a seat towards the front on the way home?
Yes, I would be one of the first ones off the plane to prevent that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's why your ticket was $4,000.
It was not $4,000.
Stop it. You booked first class. Rob's fancy. I was thinking about upgrading my flight, and I'm like, I don't know if it'll show up on the receipt. I don't want to hand them a receipt to first class.
Well, you already sent them the receipt, so now upgrade it.
Oh, yeah. But then I got to pay for it. No, he's got to pay for it. What do you mean?
Are y'all going to go to the Shrine of St. Joseph?
No, I don't think so.
Man, you got to make a special trip for that.
I mean, I don't know. We're not in church. Like, they're going to pick us up and drive us to.
There ain't no way they're going to let y'all come to Detroit and not take y'all there.
We have no
it's a
idea
pretty-
it's a
very
pretty
packed
jam-packed schedule. Yeah.
Because
We might be able to slip some stuff in tomorrow, Rob. That's the thing. Like,
because it starts at the events start at like 5, right?
yeah, like we might, but we'll see. I don't know. I talked to Nick today where he's getting in a little later than us. Like, I think all day tomorrow's gonna be like travel, everybody getting there and stuff. So I'm gonna let you guys run. I just wanted to pop in and say hello. And yeah, Rob, looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow, man.
Yeah, should be fun. And I'm bringing Maddie.
Yeah,
So you're gonna hang out with Maddie.
Awesome. That kid, I'm gonna.
So by the way, I told Dan I was gonna bring Maddie. Aunt was talking with Dan about all the travel arrangements because that was before I got Dan's number. But I don't know if Aunt told Dan about Maddie. So I texted Dan today. Yeah, I found that out.
I didn't know I was supposed.
So I talked. It's all fine, but
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody else is bringing their spouse. You know,
yeah,
it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Be all right. So, all right, you guys have a good show, man. Enjoying what you guys are doing here. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Going. I'll see you guys. See you, Adrian.
He just can't help himself.
I mean, he needs it to be about him. I get that. I get that.
It is his therapy. It really is.
It's super cheap compared to how much it is to actually go to actual therapy.
Yeah.
I've got a buddy who's a counselor, and he only caters to Catholic men, and his schedule's full all day, every day. Yeah, he's got so many guys that he's having, and he's not cheap. People are paying it, you know. I guess if you ain't got a mom or dad to listen to, you have to pay somebody else to do it. Yes, you wear something. You buy a gun to match the outfit. You don't buy an outfit to match the gun. That's not how that works.
Very true. That's
how it works. Sorry.
Well, and that's because as men, we're not trying to justify buying outfits. We're trying to justify buying guns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You take every excuse possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Why would you not? As my dad used to tell me, there's no justifiable reason to ever sell a gun.
I think we should modify that. There's no justifiable reason to ever sell a gun or not buy one.
I agree.
Except for
I saw a really good deal on the Canik TTI today. I was like, man, if I had an extra $700, the problem is there's so many guns I want.
It's like $200 off.
It's like $730 or something like that.
Should have bought it.
You have to transfer fee and shipping and all that. Like you're north of $800, but
that's true. And then what optic you can put on it? What light you can put? Like it gets expensive.
Yeah. That so I put in that request to do the warranty for my optic.
Yeah,
and they were super good about it. But we'll see how it goes, because sometimes on those warranties, man, they just like send you a refurbished one, you know. Or so I'm gonna check it out and see what they do. Because we'll see. I might not buy that one again. I don't know if I like the enclosed red dot.
I have so I have 2 SIG enclosed red dots. Not saying I'm super proud of those purchases necessarily. And then I have a Trigicon's new RCR.
Yeah,
that one's really nice.
I think because right now on my Shadow Compact, I have another Swamp Fox on there, the Liberty something. I got into Swamp Fox for a little bit because the problem with optics is they're all made by the same Chinese companies.
Yeah.
Like, right. The Trijicon is, it's all American made. And
You
Vortex,
pay for it, but
yeah, you pay for it, but it's quality, right? So
it is.
And I've thought about it, like my Shadow Compact. I think I want to put the RMR HD on it, but it's like $700, right? But I'll have it forever.
Yeah.
Like it'll last forever. Whereas these Swamp Fox, like they're basically disposable. I'm paying like $250 for them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a Holosun, basically. Right. I mean, didn't they prove that SIG's optics are literally are just Holosuns
They're all the same. Yeah. Holosun, SIG, Siley, they're all pretty much made in the same factories. They just, they're basically white labeled, right? You just, they have an optic and you throw your trademark or your logo on it and it's yours right now. So it gets that way, especially when it comes to like the flashlights, the diminishing returns on how much you pay, like up to like a Streamlight's is an okay flashlight, right?
Oh yeah, there really is.
And so you get into like Surefire flashlights when you just can afford to be without that money, right? Like if you're willing to drop $600 on a light, go for it. If you got the money to do that, go for it, right? You're going to get a good quality light, but there's not $400 worth of difference between a Streamlight and a Surefire.
Matter of fact, Streamlights personally, I like the way they're a lot easier to activate.
Yeah.
Like when you switch on a Surefire, like it you're turning it on.
Yeah.
Streamlight you might accidentally hit on. But I know Surefires, they're a little bit more rugged too.
Yeah.
Because it's not even glass, right? It's ceramic technically. Is what I
mean, it's still glass, but it's a hardened glass. And the good thing with Surefire is like that thing will take a beating. Like I have an old Surefire Scout that I was issued when I was in the Marines. That thing's probably older than my kids, and it's still going strong. But it's only like 150, 200 lumens, so it's basically just for the house. Like I'm not like going outside and shooting across my pasture or nothing with it. But
right,
you just kind of have to determine: are you willing to pay double or triple the price for 5, maybe 7, 8% better of a light, right? And, if you got the money, do it, man. I don't care. It's your money. Do whatever you want with it. But for me, man, I go through I drop stuff too much. I'd rather have something that I can just replace real quick with $150.
Yeah. And it depends on use case.
Yeah.
Like guns, I'm gonna carry out in the woods hunting. Sidearms or camping. Like I don't want to bring a super nice gun with a $700 optic and a $400 Surefire out there. If I'm gonna be tramping through the wet woods and stuff. But like my home defense gun on the nightstand, that might get all the fun expensive stuff if it's just going to sit in the safe most of the time.
Yeah, it's something that you're carrying every day, and your life depends on it, and your family's lives depend on it. Like throw all the Gucci stuff on it, right? If you want to, but then you come down to do you actually need a light on a pistol? I like it, but I could be fine without it too, because I don't have it on me, but I have a flat. What is the flat Streamlight? What's it called?
I don't know what the Streamlight is called.
Or Switchblade, something like that.
Yeah, I have a flat Night Core.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's very similar to that.
1200 lumens.
Yeah, it's very similar to that, right? And again, those are all made in the same factories, and they're just throwing somebody else's logo on there.
I'm personally like I have a gun or light on almost all my guns, because for me, where I am in the winter, we get 8 hours of daylight. Like it's dark when I go to work, it's dark when I come home from work. So for me, it makes sense. But if you live down in Florida where you don't have that huge period of darkness, then maybe it doesn't.
I've used my light more during the day than I have ever at night. Like there's dark spaces like underneath a stairwell or in the back of a room or something, or under a crawl space or something, like I've used my lights way more during the day than I ever. In fact, the only time I'm going to use a light tonight is go back to my house from my shop. Because we had a full moon last night, and it's pretty much almost like having a little bit of daylight. But it's not always like that. I'm on the eastern side of the central time zone, and like in the winter, it'll be dark by 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the sun's up at 7, it's dark by 4:30. So I'm not much better than you are,
Right.
even down here in Alabama. You know, and there's a lot of times I have to have a light. You never know.
The lights definitely.
Ooh, so you're doing it too.
Definitely can.
Yes, they will. White
but-
light will compromise your night vision.
For sure. So it depends on your use case. You know, on like a nightstand gun, I'm not so worried about compromising my night vision if there's a home intruder. You know, I want to blast him with the white light more than anything. But you know, maybe a rifle. You know, especially if you are someone with night vision, maybe you don't want it on a rifle. You're going to be out in the woods with that night.
I would still have a white light on a rifle, even if you have night vision. But the thing is, if you don't want to compromise night vision, you know, call it night vision, you know, just basic vision, right? At night, use red light and blue light. That won't compromise it. Like I've got a Petzl here, and it does red and blue light. And I use this a lot, not this one specifically, but a Petzl like this in Afghanistan a lot. The problem with red light is you can't see blood, right? So that's why I use blue light a lot of times, because it shows blood real easy. So if something happens and you need to see what you're doing, but you don't want to compromise your night vision, you need to be able to see blood, use blue light. But white light definitely. But again, with a white light on a rifle or a pistol, you're doing it for a defensive purpose. Sometimes you just need to use the light to blind somebody, and then that'll, you know, dissolve the situation. But I have lights on everything, every one of my rifles. Well, my ARs anyway. I'm hunting rifles, I don't. But and most of my pistols I do, just because I like to have it just in case. But I'm not, you know, going around shining my pistol light to look at stuff. Right, I have another light for that.
Yeah,
because I don't want to be flagging somebody with my firearm just to be able to see around.
Yep.
Have y'all ever read Adam Lane Smith's books? His fiction.
I have not.
It's fun fiction. Like one of them I read is in the future, and they're like fighting demons or something. It's a pretty fun read. It's pretty quick to me. I think I read that thing in like a day. Because it's super easy to read, but his books are really good. Adam Lane Smith is he is a Novus Ordo Catholic.
Is he?
Right? He is, and at least the last time I've seen his stuff, he might have changed in the last couple of years, but he was solidly very Vatican II, John Paul II type of Catholic. Nothing, there's nothing wrong with that, because I don't. You got to give people the benefit of the doubt what they're aware of, but just keep that in mind when you see some of the stuff.
Is he like that in a live and let live way, or in like an anti-trad sort of way?
It's a more, I wouldn't even say live and let live. It's more of just like it. It's about how he's obviously a cradle Catholic who grew up in that time, right? He's my age, so he grew up in the John Paul II era, and it's just kind of shaded his outlook and everything. And he's never needed to go to a TLM because he's always had the faith, right? Yeah. It's kind of like you, right? You always grew up in a good Catholic church. A lot of us did not.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
And the one I grew up in, and we talked about this last time, like the priest came out dressed as Santa Claus. So like I didn't have that, which makes every reason for me when I went away from the faith at 18, it just made sense, because like if my priest doesn't even believe because he's dressed up as Santa Claus, like of course I went away.
Yeah.
Was Bobby saying does he mean our natural night vision or not? So white light will get rid of your natural night vision, Bobby, as you know. But you also want to have a white light, even if you have nods. But you can also have an infrared light.
Infrared.
Right. So if you have a laser, like there's a company I've been looking at lately, Focus Trip, if y'all follow any of his stuff. He's been touting SMS, it's called the HSFX. And it was originally made for airsoft. But they've ruggedized it to where now you can put it on an actual rifle, and apparently it's fantastic for the money. It's like $250. Because the laser
Okay.
I paid like $1,000 for it, and it's
Yeah.
just a laser. I don't have an IR illuminator or anything on it.
Oh man. So
yeah.
as you know, I just recently got into night vision, kind of. And looking at those lasers and stuff for rifles, man, that's about as expensive as the night vision.
Yeah. Night vision is a superpower. It really is, man. You put on night vision, even if there's no moon, you can still see pretty well. And I remember like when I first got it and I showed my wife, because she didn't know, she's like, why did you spend this much money on it? And like, you know, and I tried to explain all the reasons for it, but she doesn't understand it until she sees it. And then she sees it, she's like, oh, okay, I see why you did this. Like, so now, like if something happens outside, like I've got my night vision on and I'm going to find out what's going on, or my thermals.
Yeah,
Yes,
completely
absolutely.
legal, no restrictions.
Yes.
There's just the price is definitely a barrier to entry. But like Adrian said, like it is almost like a superpower, and it doesn't even need to be necessarily even for like self-defense. Like for me, like
Just
what
for
I said,
fun.
it's 2/3 of our day here in Minnesota in the winter is in the dark. So like
Yeah.
if something happens out, outside or the power goes out or something, having night vision, it's better than a flashlight. Flashlight, you get that cone that you can see.
Yeah.
Night
That's it,
vision,
yeah.
the whole world,
You can see everything.
you can see everything. So if I had to go look for a kid in the middle of the night because one of my kids got outside or something, I'd having that night vision would be very useful.
And on top of that, then you have thermals, right? My first experience with thermals was in the fire department, and we had a handheld thermal
FLIR.
device.
Yeah.
And if we had a car accident, we were missing a patient, right? So I usually had the driver engineer or somebody get out the thermal and go start looking in the woods. Somebody got thrown from a vehicle or something. And thermal, I'm on the fence on whether I suggest thermals or night vision to people anymore, because thermal's so attainable now and it's so good.
It is cheap. It's pretty cheap.
But if you have the money to do it, right, then you absolutely should get either or. Both will get, and eventually both if you can, because it's like I said, it's like having a superpower. Being able to see at night, or even my thermal, I use it during the day. If I want to see something. For example, we have a friend who she had one of her calves get out and couldn't find it. And the first thing I was like, they need to get thermal for when that happens, because you can find it real quick at that point. You're looking for a heat signature, and if you own a farm, you can write it off. So that works out a little bit better too. If you want to stick it to Uncle Sam, write that thing off. But yeah, absolutely. Absolutely worth it. All right. So let's get into
32 minutes in. Do we want to get into the topic?
It's like Anthony was here. He threw me off course.
So
let's get into situational awareness. As everyone saw with the Iryna, I'm not even going to attempt her last name, incident in Charlotte. Do we lose Rob? I'm by myself. What do I do? That is a situation where she even coming from the Ukraine, which is a very homogenous society. All right. She's probably never had to deal with demographics that are known much more for crime than other demographics. And she wasn't aware of being able to, the requirement, we'll say, to keep an eye on what's going on around you. Right. So that other video I gave you, Rob, the other Instagram one, you want to show that one real quick?
Yep. Let me pull that up here. The Olga Marie one.
The one where they're in the restaurant or whatever. The other funny one.
Okay. I have it here. Let me just get it ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
To my left, it's all good. 3 to my right, I can take them. 2 big dogs, they're on the lead. It's all good.
I'm just a girl.
2 guys to my left, it's all good.
That is 100% what happens when I'm out. I'm sure when you're out, Rob, we're constantly looking around. We're constantly keeping an eye on who's around, who's wearing clothing that shouldn't be worn at this time of year.
Yeah.
Right. We never sit in a restaurant with our backs to a door, right? Because you don't want somebody sneaking up. My wife, she's gotten to the point now where she's like, make sure the kids don't sit in my seat,
Yep.
where I need to be able to see all the exits. I never let my kids go to the bathroom by themselves.
Never.
If there's an exit by the bathroom, especially, but if they're young enough, I'll always take them to the bathroom. It's sometimes hard to always sit with your back to the wall, depending, because you don't always get to, it may not be an option, but as long as you can sit to where you can see all the exits, right, and keep an eye on what's going on, you should if you can. But if you can't, you need to be constantly looking around. So situational awareness is a trained lifestyle that you eventually, as a man especially, need to get in the thought process of, because it is your job to protect people, especially your family and maybe even other innocent people. And so you need to be able to keep tabs on people that are around. And and you can explain it away as just people watching, right? If somebody's like, why is that guy always looking around? Well, just, people watching is a thing. People go to the coffee shop and just people watch, right?
Yeah.
They just sit there, get a coffee and just watch. And sometimes I do that, just I got some time between meetings or something. I'll go sit down and just watch people. Well, you start to get an idea of people's behaviors and their mannerisms and such, and you keep an eye on that. And what this has all started was by the guy by the name of Boyd. He basically put a process to this.
Like Triceratops.
So Boyd put out what's called the OODA loop, right? Observe, orient, decide, act. And you're constantly going through that all the time. You're observing everything. You're keeping an eye on what's going on. The orient portion is really the most important, because it's not you're like physically turning towards something, right? The orient is like you're bringing in your biases, and you're bringing in your learned colloquialisms that you grew up with, that you understood about behavior and things. If a guy's got if two guys are talking and they're starting to get heated, and one guy is keeping his hands down and he's starting to ball his fists or something, like he's about to take a swing.
Yep.
Right? You're keeping eyes for these cues. Those are things that you learn through watching it. And that's the orient position. That's where you're trying to keep a baseline of what's going on. And then you get into the decision portion, like, am I going to do something? Most often, the best thing you can do is remove yourself from the situation, right? If you're there with your family, that is not the time to be getting into a fist fight or a shootout. You're in the middle of a meal and two guys are starting to get in a fight. We're going to leave. I'm going to throw some money on the table real quick and we're leaving, right? Because I've got 4 kids and my wife. I can't physically get in front of all of them, right? I can put myself between them and somebody else, but I can't get myself in front of all of them. So the best thing to do is just, at that point, is remove, and that's where the act comes in. Then you remove yourself from the situation, right? And you're constantly having to do that. And that's it's called a loop. It's not really a loop. It's more of like a flow chart.
Yeah.
But you're constantly having to keep an eye on things that are going.
They call it a loop because you do it for everything you do.
And you need
goes
to,
through
right?
that loop. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
I think they say it's average 2 seconds from the beginning to the end of the loop.
Yeah. I mean, if you're 70 IQ, it might be 5 seconds, but you just need to, and some of us don't have the gifted intellect to be able to go through this thing very quickly, right? That's why you see some guys, when you get into a situation where your parasympathetic jump kicks in, and it used to be fight or flight. Well, it's not fight or flight, right? It's fight or flight or freeze. I've seen more guys freeze than anything, right? For example, have you seen the video going around of the Karen going after that guy for the baseball, right?
Yes.
As soon as she touched him, do you see his flinch? Right.
Yep.
He's like, he's scared. He's putting his hands up, which is a natural reaction, right? He's going to protect himself because he wasn't expecting someone to come at him with that type of aggression, right? But he was not situationally aware, whatsoever, right? Even at a ballpark where you're the most vulnerable, you can't carry a firearm, right? And if an event happens there, then you're having to get out with 50,000 other people, right? You, especially at a ballpark, you need to be keeping an eye, as well as the people who go to sports events are typically very rabid about their teams.
And there's tends to be alcohol involved.
Right. And so that's one aspect of it. So, but going back to the Iryna, however you pronounce her first name, she's Ukrainian, so she could pronounce it any number of ways. But she was just oblivious. She got on, first thing she did, started looking at her phone.
And I think so many people, I mean, I think as a society, we've trained ourselves that way. You know, we tell ourselves that if we just put our nose down and ignore everything, then hopefully they ignore us too, right? And that just it makes you a victim, is what it makes you.
And that's just not the case with so many people with these phones, right? And they're putting them in their face all the time. They're not aware of what's going around at all. You know, we don't have that luxury anymore. You know, we don't live in a society where you can do that. Where you can just, I picked up my phone and my internet's going crazy because I'm connected to my phone. So we don't have that luxury anymore. You have to keep an eye on what's going around. So 2 books that I want to show y'all to, so y'all can just get them. You can get, there's an audiobook of both of these if you like listening to it. And if you listen to a book, you're not reading a book. So don't tell people you read books if you listen to them. But one of them is Beyond OODA.
Can you show the author's name?
It's, where's my camera? There it is. Varg Freeborn. Okay. That's one. That's a fantastic book. That man grew up in a very criminal household, right? He witnessed his first murder when he was like almost 12 years old. And then after that, he went to prison for like 5 years. At 19, he went in prison for like 5 years, like adult federal prison, like horrible prison, not local jail. Violence of Mind is fantastic. If you ever listen to his books, it's him doing the audiobook, and he'll tell you he's not very educated. So it's kind of monotone sometimes. It's a kind of a hard, that's why I like reading his books a lot better. But he goes through getting in the mindset of being willing to deal with violence, like what the mindset you have to get into to get to be there. Because most of us, like, in the chat, how many of y'all have ever been in a fight, like a fist fight? More than just like a child fight where like you and your brother got in punched each other, like a fight where you thought like some serious injury would happen.
I'll be honest, I've never even been in one.
And most of us haven't. I have, unfortunately, but I chose that. Yeah. I joined a job field that was the understanding you were going to get into, but most people have never even taken a punch. They don't know what it's like to get punched in the face. And for a lot of people, when that happens, it shocks them. And that's where the freeze comes in. If you've never been in a situation like that, it's going to shock you. And then it's from there, how do you respond? And I'll be honest with you, a lot of times I've gotten in a fight, I did not do the right thing and didn't remove myself from the situation. And I just got into it and got into the mud with them, right? And that was not a good idea, but I'm still here. So I was doing something right, at least. But for most of us, even if you get punched in the face, man, just remove yourself from the situation. Take and get out of it. Right. Because Jason's going to like this segment. My biggest issue with jiu-jitsu is it does not train you to deal with more than one attacker. And there are certain demographics that never fight one-on-one. That's why it is imperative for you to remove yourself from the situation, because that's not going to be the only person you fight. He's going to have friends that jump in. When I was in Okinawa, we used to always have to roll deep and roll like 5, 6, 7 guys together at a time, because there was cases, especially if you ever went off island and you went to like Thailand or something, there were situations where if you were by yourself, you were an easy target.
Mm.
Right? So we were always required to leave at least 2 Marines, at least, and even then they requested 3 or 4. But you never want to be the only person that's able to help yourself. The issue with Krav Maga is they're like treadmill karate dojos now, right? It's some guy wearing parachute pants with American flag on telling you how good he's going to roundhouse kick you, right? Krav Maga it's better than nothing, right? But I would not spend a lot of time in the Krav Maga, unfortunately. And really, some of the best things boxing, just to be able to create distance between yourself and somebody else. But just what you do up in here does more than anything. These comments are going crazy.
I want to get to this more towards the end. So, but just kind of keep this in mind. Like, as you're talking about things like not being able to take a punch, freezing up, even just how to observe people. Towards the end, I want to talk like how do people learn how to observe other people? How do people, train themselves to not freeze up, to either fight or run, right? So we'll try to get towards that towards the end.
So let's pull up the Iryna video that I sent you, and we're not going to show what ends up happening. It stops before it gets to that point. Even with the horrible things I've seen in my life, I try not to watch that stuff anymore, because it's a devaluing of life. It's a desensitization. And I see it enough just on the farm when I have to kill a chicken or something, hopefully not with a 12 gauge, but if y'all
did you see the MRE sale he's got going on now?
No, does it have
20% off all chicken MREs?
He's a good dude, and his heart's in the right place. And he does a lot of good stuff. He just says some like dumb stuff sometimes. He needs a PR guy bad.
For anyone, we're talking about a PNW Gorilla. He sells military surplus out of, I think, Washington State, right?
Yeah, he's out of Washington State.
Yeah, he's very impulsive. He does something and then thinks about it 24 hours later.
Yeah. So apparently he had a situation where he had a rooster that was going crazy on one of his hens, and he decided to shoot it. I'm like, brother, have you never seen a rooster mate with a hen before? Like, I don't know how, because he's got a bunch of chickens. So how has he never seen it? Then it makes me think.
I think the rooster did that and then went on after a kid.
Yeah. I mean, but still, it depends on the kid, right? Like my 5-year-old, if I have a rooster that goes crazy, like I'm going to get rid of it because I've got a 5-year-old and she's, barely at my waist. Yeah. She's going to be a tiny, tiny girl. And I have gotten rid of it. I had a chicken for a long time. That event, I kept trying to excuse away not getting rid of it. But one time I was out in these doing some farm chores, and he came at me, and when I kicked him, his spur went through my boot and drew blood on me. And I was like, okay, time to go. If that's going to do that to my boot, he's going to hurt one of my girls. Yeah. So I got rid of him. I just took him out to the tree. I call it the killing tree. And I just took him out and took his head off. But I just wonder, like, what was his chicken doing? He decided to use a 12 gauge on it. Unless he just I just felt like shooting my 12 gauge today. Well, I get it. I do that too. I fire off a 12 gauge occasionally, keep the hawks away. I don't shoot at the hawks, local police. So, but I will shoot it in the air to scare the hawks away, but it also scares all the chickens, and I probably won't get any more eggs that day.
This upcoming weekend is grouse opener for us up here, and I'm so excited.
I won't get into that. That's gonna take us down a rabbit hole we probably probably don't need to get into. So going through, another really good book is Left of Bang, right? So this is so y'all can see if that's coming in good, right?
Okay. Yep.
So left of bang was actually a Marine Corps combat training that a lot of us had to go through before we even deployed. And it was to basically train you in situational awareness, especially when you got overseas, right? Like, so if you're, for example, on one patrol we were going, like the patrol base out that I was at was right outside of a town.
Marine book, so big print.
My eyes are good, right? That's not the issue.
They just spelled it all phonetically, guys.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so the patrol base we were at had a little town right next to it, like a little, streets and stuff in it.
Yeah.
And there was one time we were doing patrol, and normally we went through it. There's people everywhere trying to sell us stuff, especially kids. Like, we're throwing candy to them, and they would swarm us all the time, trying to get candy and everything we threw out. One time we were going through, and it was empty in the middle of a normal day. And as soon as we saw that, we turned around and went right back, because that meant there was probably an IED or something somewhere. Nothing ever happened because we made the decision to de-ass ourselves of the situation, basically, right? Get out of there, and go back. It's because it's not the firefight we were afraid of. You can shoot back in a firefight, but you can't shoot back in an IED.
True.
Right. And, I've seen situations where they've set up IEDs in the door, and once you cross the threshold, it's at head level and it blows up and it just decapitates you. We had a Marine that happened to in my first deployment, when he went into a house and it went off. Right. So we noticed that was not the baseline. The baseline was there was people always there. And then this time that was not the baseline. So we decided to just remove ourselves from the situation. I eventually found out later that there was an IED it was more or less meant to be a diversion, and was meant to draw us into a firefight, into a corridor that would basically put us into a fatal funnel almost, right? We were going to be shot at from all sides. But I found that out like a week later. So just keep an idea of the baseline. But left of bang, what it does is you always want to be, and how it is on a timeline, right? So on one side is normal, and then the bang happens in the middle, right? And then everything on the other side of the bang is the reaction. You always want to be to the point where you don't have to react. You want to choose the situation you're in. And if you don't keep an eye on what's going on, then you're putting yourself behind the eight ball. That's why situational awareness. And then we get into, with the OODA loop, the different color codes, right? So if you have that graphic I sent you earlier,
Yeah.
Rob,
Did we want
pull that
to
up real
do
quick.
that before the arena video?
Let's do that real quick. Let's do the graphic first, and then
Okay.
we'll do the arena video. So y'all can kind of see, the mindset you need to put yourself in. So the white is most people who walk around every day. They're looking at their phone as they're walking. They're not paying attention to anything. They don't see what's going on around them. And they're just really not concerned. Then you get into the yellow, where you're starting to be aware of things. You're looking at people. You're looking at, what kind of clothes they're wearing. Do they have a bulge on their belt? You're looking for, if there's a firearm or something there. And then you get into the orange. You recognize you're in a non-permissive environment. You're on public transportation, where you might be the only one there that's not melanated, and you need to be hyper aware something could happen, right? And then you get into red, where like you something absolutely is about to happen and you're prepared for it. Do we leave? Do I don't have an option to leave? If I don't have an option to leave, do I need to now go into the black?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be in the fight. I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get out of the situation. And that might mean taking somebody's life, right? Because it's either you or them. It's either your family or them, right? So just keep that in mind as we watch this next video with Iryna, and just notice some things. And I'll talk through it because it doesn't have any sound, but just notice some things that weren't done, and just how oblivious she was.
Okay.
All right, so this is the public transportation in Charlotte, and it's like any, like if you've been to DC or if you've been to Chicago with the L, it's pretty standard.
Like
you have
in
some,
Minneapolis, yeah.
yeah. So you have some that are on the wall and they face towards the center, which is where you need to try and sit if you're on any of these, next to a door. That way you can get out real fast. If you don't have the option, you need to stand in that area. So go ahead and play it and I'll talk through it.
Then we want to pause.
Okay. So we're seeing all the doors. So notice everybody's looking at their phones. Look at all these people. So the guy in the red hoodie, obviously something's not right with this guy. Obviously he's fidgety, right? He's not acting normal. Like most people on a public transport, they're sleeping or watching a phone. All right. So this is her. She's coming home from work. It looks like, I guess I didn't read the, what exactly led to this, or if she's on her way to work. On her
I believe coming home from work. Yes.
Okay. So she's on her phone, has no idea what's going on. Right. So then he starts behind her. He's making the decision. He's going to do something. Right. He's whatever his going through his mind. This is like his 14th, 15th time. He's been involved with the law. Right. He's pulling out a folding knife, which is a horrible knife to stab somebody with by. And then he decides to just commit some violence. It's not going to show anything, obviously. But look at everybody around him.
I was just going to say, no one has even acknowledged that he stood up and beginning to act.
Mm-hmm. They have no idea. And this happens all the time. And unfortunately, she bled out. He hit her right in the neck, probably hit her in the jugular, and she bled out. And
look at everyone.
Yeah.
They don't
no one has
even
notice.
notice.
Look at the blood. Look at the blood on the ground that's dripping off him. This guy notices it. He's starting to figure out something happened. Right. And then these people in the back. Right. Look at all that blood on the ground. And he's changing his outfit.
Yeah.
So he's not as easily recognizable. Right. All these people are running to find out what's going on.
I just want to let's see. I just want to look at where she chose to sit. I don't know what one of these doors she comes in.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
But
probably that one right. Well, where I can't even see him in that.
No, but there's open seat, like you said, there's open seats where she should have sat, and she went and actually. Before I saw the video, I assumed he got on after her and chose to sit behind her, but she actually put herself in that spot.
Mm-hmm. And who knows the demons he was dealing with, right? That he purposely, consciously probably allowed himself to be influenced by at this point. And then now it's been found out that the judge who keeps releasing him is releasing him into a business that she owns that does therapy and counseling. Right? So that's a conflict of interest. Yeah. So that's a conflict of interest already for her. So hopefully something can be done about her and get her off the streets. Because as we've seen with a lot of the George Soros DAs, for instance, in DC, I think it was 88% of the people who've been arrested since Trump brought in the National Guard there are being released by the DAs and the prosecutors. Right. So it really nothing's happening at this point. So these are things that you have to keep in mind. So let's play that next video of the convenience store real quick. So this dude was carrying on his side, and these joggers came in and decided to relieve him of his firearm.
So he's open carrying. Was he carrying just in his pocket, or does he have an OODA holster?
I can't tell in the video, but I'm pretty sure it was just visibly obvious. So either it was a huge bulge, or is in his pocket, or is on the outside the waistband holster. I've seen him where a guy had one in the small of his back, and he got relieved of his firearm and had no idea. right? And he's begging these guys not to take. He's not worried about his life. He's worried about them taking his firearm at this point, you know. But he had no idea what was going on around him. He's carrying in a horrible position, right? I carry appendix, you know, and I can. Some of our bigger guys probably have a problem with that.
I do not carry appendix.
If you
for that
can carry
reason.
appendix, I highly suggest it because you have positive retention on that because it's in the front of you at all times. But if you have to carry at the 3 o'clock or the 4 o'clock, it needs to be very concealable where you can't tell that you have it.
Yep.
Because then you have this situation, right? Whereas these guys come in and just decided you no longer needed to have that firearm, right? And now who knows what they could have killed him. They could, and who knows what they've gone on to use that firearm for, right? Appendix is in the front, right? So I carry my firearm basically level what in the Marines are called a gig line, right? It's the center point of your body. So on my waist, at my belt line, right in the center. And that's where I carry for a few reasons. One, it's comfortable when I'm walking around. I know it's always there. It's not comfortable when I'm sitting down. I can tell you that. But I'm willing to put up with that discomfort. And when do not carry a 320 appendix at all, or you might eventually be trans yourself.
For the minute or two it takes before you bleed
For the
out.
men, yeah. For the ladies, you know, well, we won't get to that. But so another reason I carry appendix is, as I've told you all before, all the good firearms training, especially the pistols I've had, have been since I got out of the Marines. And one of the trainings I went to was it was grappling on the ground and trying to get your gun out, right? If you got it on your side and you're pinned on your side and you can't get it out, that's an issue. But as well, Bobby, it is the fastest draw. I'm not particularly fast. I do about a 1.5 second draw. But I've seen some guys sub-second, right? Pulling that thing out and firing out in the A zone within under a second, which is super fast. Or if like you see collateral, see how fast he carries at I believe the 3 o'clock, but he pulls that thing out fast as well. If you train yourself wherever you carry, you can get real fast. It just requires a lot of repetition. Yeah. But when you're carrying appendix, and say your strong arm goes down, right? So I'm right-handed. If I get shot in my right arm and I can't use my right arm, I can't reach my right side 3 o'clock with my left hand, right? Just how I'm built. I just can't do it. And so it allows me to be able to draw with my offhand and be able to fire from there. It's a little awkward, but I can still get to it. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest reason I have it is because I need to always get, no matter what, I need to be able to get to my firearm.
Yeah, I tend to carry it between 2 and 3 personally.
Yeah. If you can get to the point, I've seen big guys carry an appendix, fine, right? If you can get to that point, it's just like when you first start carrying, you just have to get used to it, right? And when you first start carrying, you're more aware of your firearm than everyone else is.
That's 100% true. Yep. Everyone's convinced they're printing when.
Yeah,
you
and they're always at the front anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't matter. They have, as you can see on that train video, nobody has any idea what's going on.
No.
Because then you get into the point like, well, if you have to pull your firearm, where do you shoot? Well, center mass as much as you can until they stop being a threat. Right. And then just say when the police come, because never talk to the police, never wait for a lawyer. Right. But when you do eventually make your statement, I was in fear for my life. And you were. If you have to pull your firearm, that's because you're in fear for your life. And Bobby here, Bobby, are they Kydex? I haven't heard of that company.
I haven't either.
Are those Kydex holsters? I don't like leather, because most leather companies don't use a stiff enough leather, and the leather can get caught in the trigger guard and fire your pistol.
If you're going to buy a leather holster, it's going to end up being a very expensive leather holster.
Yeah.
All of my good
Kydex holsters are expensive.
Yeah, all my good leather holsters are twice as expensive though. But in my leather holsters are for like my. Did you just spill?
Yeah,
water in
just
your
splash
face?
him in the face. Just spit in my face. Yeah, Kydex is the way to go because it's stiff and rigid.
Yep.
And you don't have to worry about that. I have looked at like Falco holsters for when I carry at mass because at mass I don't
This
carry
is a
it.
cheap Kydex holster, but so Kydex is just it's a thermoplastic
Mhm.
that can be heat molded, around basically any shape. But so you can get them custom for basically any gun and light combo. So they can get expensive, but
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so with holsters, then you get into the thought process. Do you carry an extra mag? Right. There's a lot of like T-Rex started the sidecar
yeah,
holster where it's the holster for the firearm and a mag right next to it. Unless you're like a thin guy, those are very uncomfortable.
yeah.
I don't carry like that. If I carry an extra mag, it's on my belt line. But you're gonna be pushing $100 or more for a good quality holster. But it's an investment. Now the problem is for most holsters is you're going to end up having a bunch of them because you're going to
one to
find
two for
somebody
every
like,
gun I have.
yeah, and it's just the way of the beast, man. You just have to be okay with it because what you're carrying on you is the difference between you going home one day or not. Right. So you need to invest in that and not only investing in the money, but the time as well.
And it's not even necessarily thinking like that holster might be whether you live or die in a gunfight. A bad holster could mean you shoot yourself in the leg because something got in the trigger guard.
Mm-hmm.
It could mean you die because of a stupid mistake. So,
Yeah.
spend the extra money, get a good holster, that's specific for your gun, your setup for the carry position you carry in, so that and then practice dry fire, draw and
Absolutely.
reholster
Yeah.
over
There's
and over.
if you go to benstogershop.com, Ben Stoger, he teaches a lot of USPSA and IDPA courses and such, basically how to competition shoot. But he has some dry fire targets that are small that you can just put on your wall in your garage and dry fire with those. What dry firing is you've got the firearm empty, and you are basically drawing and pulling the trigger, and letting the hammer go forward. Right, it will not hurt your firearm.
Not anything made in the last 50 years, anyways.
No. Any of the old revolvers, I wouldn't do it on it. It'll tear up your firing pin. But any of the new firearms, especially in the striker fired. In fact, with a striker fire pistol, especially like a Glock, you can put a zip tie down in your barrel that blocks your striker, and it allow you to continually pull the trigger without having to reset it. Right? Reset it means you're pulling your rack and slide.
Not AR, but I do have a holster for my my Raider, my Flux
Your Flux Raider.
Yeah, I haven't actually used it yet, but
Manus X is good. There's another one, Cool Fire, I think it's called. It uses CO2, and it mimics your firearm, and it'll work in your firearm. You don't have to buy a new firearm. It has like a CO2 cartridge in the mag, and then it has the actuator in the slide itself. You replace the barrel basically, and you'll get like 1,000 shots out of each CO2 cartridge.
To where you're not manually racking the slide to reset it.
Right.
Okay, oh, that's awesome. Because I know Mantis figured out how to do that for the for ARs, but they don't have anything for handguns yet.
Yeah. But it just uses CO2 cartridge, which you can get filled at any airsoft store.
Any hardware store.
You can get one of those tanks and it'll last forever. I don't get it. I just use manual and I'll re-rack my slide when I'm at the office. If I'm talking to somebody, they're hearing a lot of clicking.
Yep.
Right. Cause I'm dry firing while I'm on the phone with somebody sometimes.
I do it all the time watching TV.
Yeah. Or just getting used to maybe like mag changes or whatever. Right. Dry firing. will pay dividends when you finally get to the range. You won't have to shoot as many rounds when you go to the range because of dry firing. It's absolutely worth it. It was empty. He didn't even flag the camera. He's fine.
It is weird to flag the camera. I naturally try not to do it, and I don't know why.
No. The L in Chicago, I think, has on average like one murder every 2 days, whether it's on the train itself or on one of the landings or the stair or within the immediate vicinity of it. So yeah, I used to go to Chicago a lot when I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, and I used to go to Chicago a lot. I grew up a Cubs fan because it was either Cubs or the Braves because that was the only ones I could see on TV, and I became a Cubs fan. And I used to go to Chicago a lot, and I would, even when I was 18 to 24, I would never get on the L. There's absolutely no way. I would take a cab or I would drive everywhere. It's just a matter of not putting yourself in that situation. Yeah. There's probably a few people in here who have actually had to use their firearm in a situation, and hopefully none of y'all have ever had to take somebody's life. You don't get over it. It's hard to deal with when you realize like you're the reason that person is no longer here, even if it was justified. So I hope none of y'all ever have to deal with that. But just be prepared in case you do. You're going to need to talk to somebody afterwards, just because you're going to have to get that out of your head. You're going to have to verbalize it. And that's, whether it's with a priest or with a friend who's been through it, somebody who's been through that situation. If you end up having to be in that situation to actually use your firearm, you need to talk to somebody afterwards. All right. Let's see. What else do I want to go over?
Well, we have the funny video.
We will. We'll hit that.
I've seen that one before,
it?
and I laugh every time I see it.
So let's go ahead and play the video, and then we'll take some questions.
Sounds good.
Colonel Grossman's books are worth reading because it kind of gets you into psychology of being in that situation, and you'll read situations like he goes over. It wasn't until the Vietnam War where he started desensitizing people to killing that the rates of combat went way up. Like what they found, especially during the Civil War, there's a lot of times that firearm, the guns were unfired, even though they were in battle, because guys couldn't bring themselves to shoot at somebody else. It wasn't until training right before the Vietnam War at boot camp and basic, depending on what branch of the military you're in, that they desensitized people enough to where it was easy for them to pull the trigger on somebody else. So yeah, his books are great to watch. On Combat, or to read it. On Combat is a good book to read to kind of realize what the mindset you're going through and psychology of killing is. Let's see.
I think we mentioned active self-protection on the last video.
Mm-hmm.
But for those who don't
Rob's
know,
a huge fan. Rob's a huge fan of that guy.
So I pay for their whatever their premium services. Like they have an app. You can watch their videos on YouTube, but I pay for the app. And yeah, the main host I'm sure he's a great guy. I know he's me a little, but he's a little. Anyways, it's worth it. Even if you don't like the host, which you very well might not, they have really good stuff. And like I said, you can watch most of their stuff for free on YouTube. Even if for whatever reason you don't carry a gun or can't carry a gun, the videos are good for recognizing situations. And he talks about self-awareness, and he talks about the OODA loop all the time. Like it's worth it and the videos are usually 10 minutes. So watch a 10-minute video on it a day, and that alone will pay dividends, even if you don't carry a gun. But
another good one to watch
carry a gun.
Yeah, another good one to watch is ShivWorks. Is a guy who he does a lot more with close combat, close encounter uses of knives, basically. And they do a lot of videos showing like the lead up to an event happening. Like they'll watch two guys like John at each other, and then he'll start pointing out like, hey, you can start seeing he's starting to make pre-fight, movements and clenching his fist and messing with his clothing and such right before it happens. So those are other good ones to call on the wire.
One, I don't know how he pronounces his name, and that's always a red flag for me.
Anybody who's named after a body part that pushes out excrement, you probably need to be cautious of. His thing is he's an attorney, right? And his only thing is he likes to shoot, right? He's never been in a situation. He has no experience with it. But I also don't trust anybody that was still pushing the 320 when all the issues were happening, right? And he finally put out a video kind of like walking it back, but then now he's going full forward with it again, right? Like you have to understand, like a lot of these guys are bought and paid for by whatever.
Well, I thought he was bought and paid for by FN. Every one of his favorite guns is FN.
He's bought and paid for it. A lot of these gun tuber guys are under the umbrella of the Leviathan group, right? Which is like a PR group. They're the ones that get them all their sponsorships and their ads and such. Grand Thumb used to be under them. He just recently went out on his own away from them. He figured he didn't need them anymore, which he's right. But almost every gun tuber out there that has more than 100,000 subs is under Leviathan. And there might be onesie and twosies here and there that aren't, but just keep in mind that they're all, that's why you'll see them all. Like, for example, when the Springfield Echelon came out,
they
all of a sudden, like the next day, they all had the same video come out reviewing how great it was.
Oh, it's like the SIG GTO, the 211 just came out. And you'd think in a world where SIG has done what they've done in the last 6 months, that everyone would be a little hesitant to not jump on a brand new gun from SIG. Nope. They all came out with the 211 video within 3 days of each other.
You'll see that a lot. And just be aware that they're all under the same agency, basically, who handles everything for them and gets them all their sponsorships and everything, which isn't a bad thing.
No,
but
YouTube channels are expensive, especially with guns, especially with ammo. I mean, yeah, I get that they need to make money for sure.
Yeah.
This is a big question. So who in the industry, and not that the guys who take sponsorships aren't trustworthy, you just have to know where the money's coming from.
Yeah.
But so who do you think
just
is
be
trustworthy?
aware that, their opinion may be colored by money.
Yeah.
Right. And what they're coming out with. They're pushing a product. They're probably being paid to do that. Unless they're forthright. Like what was that guy's name? There's a guy who, like, I'm trying to remember his name. I don't subscribe to him because he just really does reviews on guns. But he'll be forthright. He'll be like, hey, they gave me this gun for free. And it's a horrible gun. Don't buy it. Right. And like, if you're honest with about that stuff, hey, they bought this gun, they gave me this gun for free and I liked it. I get that, cool. Right. You got it for free and it didn't, it wasn't so bad that you weren't willing to say you liked it. But just be aware. There's a lot of drama in GunTube, right? And just be aware, like a lot of these guys, they don't have any experience other than shooting guns. So keep in mind that their opinion they're giving you is based off theory more than practical application. Like Hop, Focus, Brass Facts, like none of these guys were police or military. But I'm also going to tell you, do not put police and military on a pedestal, right? Police officers on average fire 50 rounds a year to practice, and that's it, right? And if it's a female cop, God bless you. Right? You're probably not going home that day. But do not take everything I say, as the gospel truth. Like, you need to go out and figure these things out for yourself. And if I give you a good piece of information, research it. Right? I don't know everything. When I teach firearms, I tell guys all the time, you need to go out and get training from other guys and figure out what you like and put that into practice. Right? I'm going to know a way. I'm going to teach you a way. It's not the best way. There's not one best way at all. You need to go out.
Like everything else, it's always developing. I mean, appendix carry is very recent in a sense, you know. So yeah, things are always developing and things change, you know. So
and things are for example, that the global war on terror is the reason that we know that tourniquets being on you for more than 24 hours won't cause you to lose that limb, right? Because we had a lot of instances. So we got more advancements in trauma medicine because of global war on terror than anything else, right? Those are things that were learned the hard way. That's the reason, like right now with the conflict in Ukraine, they're having a lot of those Chinese knockoff cat tourniquets are failing and guys are dying because of it. So that's why, like, it's hard to find a Chinese made cat tourniquet on Amazon anymore. Like, you really have to look for it. And we're going to do a show on medical. We've got a guy in the Telegram group who's a paramedic who's going to come on and really just give a good medical show.
By the way, this is a someone in law enforcement who is attesting to the fact that no one trains.
Look, even we got feds in our chat, man. They're out to get us. But it's when you call the police, just know you've probably shot more than they have. Right? I don't know where I was in my previous train of thought. So let's play that video.
Yeah.
And then we'll get in and we'll answer some questions.
This is a video that I've seen it before. It is funny in its original form. And by we, I mean Adrian had Taffy edit it. So I don't know how well Taffy edited it. We'll see.
He did a good job. Y'all need to tip Taffy. He does so much for this channel.
Yeah, he does. I don't know why. Honestly.
He likes you is pretty much what it is.
The video he's got for the next show with Anthony and me is let's just say it shows my inner thoughts at the canonization of Carlo. But so Taffy edited this. Even if he didn't do a perfect job, I think the worst word in the original video was a euphemism for a part of the male anatomy. So it's not super terrible.
Yeah.
But we told you guys we were going to try to do a clean gun show. So we want to try to give that to you. So here we go.
In a defensive scenario, you never want to go for the face. You always want to go center mass. Or, my personal favorite, the dick. If you make it the mistake of trying to rob me, oh, you freaking dumb. Guess what? You're getting a shot towards the dick. Reason being, the pelvis actually holds up the whole entire body. If you take that out, they are now immobile. And you get to shoot them in the dick more. Body armor? No problem. Shoot them in the dick. Someone's taller than you? No problem. Shoot them in the dick. Moral of the story, I'm probably going to shoot you in the dick.
Now, for people who don't know that, it's a serious thing. Like he's not making fun. It's called a shot to the pelvic girdle. And if you don't die, you're not standing up anytime soon.
No. So when you have to shoot, right? The easiest shot that's going to put them down is the best. Center mass is good because you have a choice between a switch or a pump, right? So the switch would be the T box, basically the eyes and the nose, right? And if you shoot somebody in the switch, they're stopping whatever they're doing. It's game over. You know, that's why you have a lot of tier 1 groups who practice shooting so much so they can shoot the switch, the T box, because if they've got a suicide vest or whatever, they're not able to actuate it. But other than that, you have the heart and the lungs, which are pumps, right? Your lungs are pumping your oxygen around your body so you can keep going. That's why any guys who shoot, if you shoot them in the lungs, it just takes a while for that pump to fail, right? It could take 5 seconds.
They will die, but they can do things for a couple minutes.
And then if you shoot somebody in the pelvis, the amount of blood in the pelvis, just in the pelvis bone, right? Somebody will bleed out. But if y'all have ever experienced anybody who's had a hip injury or a broken hip and the amount of pain they're in and they can't move, right? And that's what you're doing when you're shooting the pelvis. So when we were doing immediate action drills and failure to stop drills and such in the Marines, one of the ones we did all the time was shooting the chest and then finishing up one in the hip, because the hip is just as good as shooting in the head.
Like an upside down Mozambique.
Yes. They would usually, we would shoot 2 to the chest, 1 to the pelvis.
Okay.
Right, over because they're not moving. They're not going anywhere, and they're probably going to bleed out within a few minutes, 5 minutes or so at most. So the pelvis is a real target. Use it on everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
And I suppose there's a greater, if you say aren't exactly on with the pelvic girdle, you're still probably hitting something. Whereas if you're trying to go, like you said, for the tee box and you miss, you're probably getting air.
I mean, even if you hit them in the leg, you have a really good chance of hitting them in the femoral artery, which they're going to bleed out.
Yeah.
Right. Hopefully they don't have a tourniquet, but any way you can cause them to massively bleed out, because that's what kills somebody. It's not like just the impact of the bullet. It's what the bullet did and what's draining out.
Especially with handgun rounds.
Yes. You're going to need to shoot somebody with a handgun multiple times to put them down. Multiple times, like 4, 5, 6 times to really stop them quick. One shot, they can live through it. We had a guy in Afghanistan who got shot in the gut, missed his spine by like half an inch. He still has that bullet in him today, right? Because it was just not worth them getting it out. They just had to, sew up his guts and everything. Yes, even a 45. Problem with the 45 is it's slow. There's not a lot of ballistic advantage to it anymore. Not with the advancements in especially 9mm ammo.
Unless you're shooting that 45 out of like a full size 5-inch 1911, like that round might not even expand. If you're shooting out of a 3-inch gun or something like that, it might not be going fast enough to expand.
All right. Do we have any questions? We take them now.
Skyway,
yes, Skyway, they are.
Well, when I said no, I wasn't answering the question. I was saying no, we're not answering the question. But yes,
Rob is on his Nick Fuentes art.
Oh my gosh. What are your thoughts on Lovell and Jaeger?
They have a lot of experience, and they've done a lot of good things for the community. John Lovell. So I will never, as Rob said, participate in circular fire squads. Everyone who's on our side is on our side until proven otherwise. John Lovell's fine. He puts out some good training. His training's a little expensive. You can get adequate training or equivalent training through other people for cheaper. He's got guys the brand name. It really is. But he also, like, if you're subscribed to his Warrior Poet Society network, it's a great thing to be, especially for kids, because my kids love Kentucky Ballistics.
Yeah.
They love Kentucky Ballistics.
My boy, we watch it together. They love it.
Mm-hmm. But it's a good thing to be subscribed to for all the information that's in it. His shop is it's got some pretty proven equipment in it if you want it. He's on our side. Now theologically, he's stupid, right? He's just like most Protestants are, especially in Georgia, right? Because he's in Georgia and they're ate up with like anti-Catholicism. But James Jaeger, he's had his funny incidents. That's not really been him, but the guys that do his training for him. Like 10 years ago, they were doing training, and his big point a lot of times he tried to drive home was, your firearm's not a safe queen, it's a tool. You need to use it. Don't try and keep it from getting scuffed up. Don't try and keep it pristine where it doesn't look like you never use it. You need to use it. And so at one of his trainings, one of his trainers had one of the guys shooting throw his gun on the ground and like kick it and stomp on it, and it went off and shot somebody's truck, right? Which is stupid. Like, you still need to abide by the four rules. But James Jaeger was your average man who uplifted himself out of the situation he was in to be able to bring training to a lot of people, and his training was mostly good. And he tried to impart a lot of his knowledge and he had a situation where he was kind of lambasted about how he reacted in Iraq when he was working as a contractor. But there's 2-3 sides to a story, and all we have is video from one side, and we don't know what led up to that video or what happened after that video. And you can go out and find it, the James Yeager video I'm talking about, if you want to go watch it. But
yeah, I'm not familiar.
He did a lot of good, and he was no nonsense. Like he was a 2x4 against the head when it came to the information about things.
Since you mentioned it, for anyone new to guns, what are the 4 rules?
So my rules I teach my kids, right? The first one is you always treat every weapon as if it is loaded.
Yep.
So the first firearm I give my kids is a BB gun, and I get them used to just carrying that thing around without anything in it. And so they get used to never flagging it. Flagging is when you point the gun at somebody, right?
Yep.
So that's the first rule. Second rule is, and they can be, the 4 rules we were taught in the Marines are not what I use now, because one of them doesn't really apply. But the second rule is keep your finger straight off the trigger until you're ready to fire, right? Third one can be keep your weapon on safe till you intend to fire. And then really the fourth one now that I use is know your target and what lies beyond it, right? Because your bullet will go through things, right? If you're shooting in the house at an intruder, it's going to go through the intruder, then it's going to go through the drywall, and it's probably going to exit your house. 9mm will go through car doors easy, right? On a car, you are not protected by the outer shell of the car. In fact, pretty much the only thing you can be protected by is the axle, and most of
the
them are
engine
not.
block.
Even now, the engine block won't really protect you, because most engines are made of so much plastic.
True.
It'll go, and there's so much gap that it's not really. Now, if you're driving like a 1980, what was it?
If you got a Chevy
Nova,
small block,
Chevy
there,
Nova,
you're probably fine.
yeah, but your bullet will go through everything. So know your target and what's behind it. That's why when you watch body cam videos by cops, and you'll see like they're starting to pie off so that there's not another cop on the other side. Unless it's a female, she doesn't really take those things into account.
Every
she's
single time.
Other cops,
Yeah.
right? But know what's beyond your target when you're shooting as well. So treat every weapon as if it's loaded. Keep your finger off the trigger. Keep your weapon on safe until you're ready to fire, and then know your target and what lies beyond it.
For me, almost all the same. Your number 3 would be for me. Don't point the gun at something unless you're ready to destroy.
Yeah, but that goes with the rule number 1.
That's all. And the thing with the rules is, you can break one of them and still be safe. And there are times, there are times where like dry firing, you're technically breaking.
Yeah,
one of the rules, but the rules are designed where. It's when you start breaking 2 or 3 of the rules where things get that's when it gets dangerous. But
yeah, absolutely. All right, let's see what else we got.
Let's see. There's do hollow points over penetrate?
Yes,
they can. Yeah,
especially it depends on the barrel length. It depends on the firearm. But if it doesn't get enough velocity for it to blossom out, basically, and when it hits. So you'll see a lot of ballistics videos where they're shooting ballistics gel, and you'll see them where they'll put like denim in front of it to try and get it to simulate an actual body with somebody wearing clothes. And it still will go through, 24 inches of gel block, right? Most of us aren't 24 inches thick.
Right.
It's going through you, it's going through the chair behind me, through the wall behind me, right? Probably going to make it into the yard somewhere, may even hit the house somewhere, right? If somebody were shooting at me here. So they can, yes. Now, hollow points are intended to blossom out, to really limit that, but it also depends on the firearm you're shooting out of and the barrel length. If you're shooting out of like a sub 3-inch barrel pistol, it's probably not going to blossom out as much as if you're shooting out of like a 5-inch.
Yeah,
it really depends.
It's almost counterintuitive. With the hollow point, the lower velocity, you actually have a greater chance over penetration, because it's not reading that velocity it needs to, like you say, pedal out. So then it's staying at a dense ball of lead, and it will just continue to travel. And for instance, it's something you need to be mindful of depending on where you live at what times of year. Like here in Minnesota in the winter, people are wearing a heavy coat, a hoodie, a t-shirt, and all those layers of clothing can actually plug the hollow point to where then it also will not blossom out and will potentially overpenetrate. And there's different ammo designed to handle that. Like Hornady has they plug the hollow points with little piece of rubber to prevent that. There's external hollow points like you use G9, I know. So there's different options.
You also have to, if you're like in this comment, the windshield does not affect the trajectory of your bullet as much as you think it will. So I've fired through, especially in training courses, I've fired through a lot of windshields, and it really doesn't change. On most cars, because I don't know if y'all have noticed, lately windshields are not made of what they used to be. Like I go through a new windshield like every 6 months because like a random rock will hit my windshield and it'll just spider whereas before, like I get, rocks that hit my windshield all the time and nothing would ever happen. So windshields aren't as thick, especially now when you get into a lot of these vehicles that have the lane assist and all that. They can't be thick because there's a membrane in them that has a sensor to be able to look through, and cameras can't look through very thick. The cameras they use don't look through very thick windshields. So it can affect it a little bit, especially an older car. But newer cars, it's going exactly where you think it's going to go.
Let's see here. We have a couple more. I don't know how familiar you are with revolvers, but thoughts on 158 grain wood cutters, wad cutters, or semi wad cutters, and 38 special revolvers as opposed to hollow points.
It depends. I mean, it's all use case scenario. I don't shoot a lot of revolvers, mostly because it's 2025. But there are use cases for them. Like I would buy like a hammerless J-frame of some sort just to keep it in a pocket, especially if it's like super hot. Yeah.
Gym pants, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But the problem with revolvers is the limited ammo, but it's also better than nothing. So if that's all you have, train with it, get used to it, get used to reloading, because there are speed reloads on revolvers. But you're always going to want to use hollow points, because the last thing you want is to shoot somebody and they live. Because now you're being sued.
The one thing I would say is with the with wad cutters and hard casts and stuff like that for revolvers, there's kind of two use cases I foresee. One, super short barrel J-frame revolver, something like that. You might not get good performance out of certain hollow points, just because of the super short barrel. So then a wad cutter, is probably better than like a hollow point that's not performing, or like Full Metal Jacket or something like that. But also then wad cutters or hard cast bullets, with a higher power revolver, 357-44 for woods carry, I think that makes sense. But yeah, on a human, if I'm carrying my 44 Magnum with a hard cast, 350 grain hard cast bullet, I shoot at a human, it's going to go through 3 or 4 people, before it stops, because that's meant to go through a grizzly or a moose or something. But
like the video with the guy who shot the bear, right? He shot that bear with 55 grain Hornady defense ammo, 5.56. And he was saying that none of them went out of the bear.
I believe it. Yeah.
So your use case and your needs, you need to go out and shoot, buy an extra box of whatever your defense ammo is. Make sure your gun cycles it, first of all. Like my Glock 19 does not like anything other as far as defensive ammo, right? It'll shoot pretty much any Full Metal Jacket, but defense ammo that it really likes is the Hornady Critical Duty, the G9, and the Federal HST. It loves those, and I've never had an issue with any of those. I have had issues with other defensive ammos. What is I have to look at it. It starts with a B, but I had one issue with defensive ammo. It was jamming like every 5 rounds.
Really?
Whatever the reason, I don't know what it was. My gun, the Glock 19, just did not like it.
And especially true for like micro compacts and stuff like that. They can start to get really picky on what ammo what ammo they like, which is why, I mean, you know, the Federal HST, Spear Gold Dot, Hornady, Critical Defense and stuff like those are kind of like the 3 gold stars that work in almost everything.
Taffy, we don't need a third hole anymore. You can buy a super safe trigger now, and you're going to town.
Force reset, yeah.
Yeah, you don't need them anymore.
Black bears commit 60% of bear attacks, only make up. So funny. There's a couple other in here. Let's see.
So this one,
yeah, I had that one.
The way my house is, the master's on the main, and all my kids are upstairs. Right. So someone breaks into the house. First thing I'm doing is give my wife a firearm and telling her to lock the door and not answer the door for anybody, and she'll know it's me because we have a we have a system there. But my first thing is I'm going upstairs to protect the kids, or I'm at least getting to the stairwell to keep them from going up there. And then, you know, hopefully I can get the kids out, because we were trying to adopt a couple of years ago. And when you adopt, they have to come through your house and make sure your house is suitable for kids, even though I already had 4 kids.
What's that big thing with the blanket over it in the corner? Don't worry about that. or that one.
That's a dummy full of tannerite. Don't worry about him. But I had to buy these ladders for all the windows at the second floor.
Yeah.
So all the bedrooms upstairs have ladders to be able to go out if I need to. But the first thing I'm doing is I'm making sure my wife's armed and I'm going to protect the kids. Right. Yep. And I'm taking my bedside, go to war gun is a 300 blackout suppressed. Because if I have to shoot somebody, I don't want to wake up the kids. So
you also would like to hear for the rest of your life too.
I mean, there's that. Your body will block it out, right? The adrenaline will push and it'll block out the sound. You'll be fine. Now, if you're in a prolonged gunfight in your house, you're probably going to lose some hearing eventually. But if you're just shooting 4, 5, 6 rounds, you won't need air pro. Your body will block it out. Yeah. When your body receives too much stimulus at one time, and it's a prolonged amount of stimulus, it learns to shut it off, whether it's sound, whether it's drugs, right? That's why guys eventually have to take, use more and more drugs to get the same high. It's alcohol, whatever it is, your body gets used to it and it starts to really block the effect. So if you're in the house now, I like suppressor because, again, I don't want my kids to have the trauma of knowing like daddy shot somebody last night.
That's where Mr. Badman bled out, right over there.
That's why daddy had to get new tile floor.
Yeah. So for us, we put all of our bedrooms down in the basement actually. And we turned the area at the bottom of the stairs into like the master bedroom, and the kids' rooms are off of that. So anyone coming down the stairs is coming right into basically our master bedroom. And our plan is we have safes on either side of the bed. So my wife opens gets her gun, goes in the room with the kids in one of gathers the kids, moves them into one of their bedrooms, locks the door, starts them climbing out the window basically. While I basically hole up at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah. And we may need to do a show on this, like how to create a plan for your house, like some considerations you need to have. Because your kids need to be aware of this stuff.
Yes.
Right. And your kids need to be situationally aware too.
Yes.
Like when you're out and about, like my kids know, we don't tell anybody that daddy has a firearm, right? Nobody needs to know that.
Right? Your word for it is my favorite. Yeah. I don't know if you want to share publicly, but
no.
Well, my wife and I have used medical device in the past. Do you have your
Yeah.
medical device on you? Of course I do.
Yeah. But having a plan for your house, it may not even be an intruder, maybe like a fire. Like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Right. When you get
Yeah.
the kids used to things like that, and get used to like there's a process of something happens, one that takes a lot of anxiety out of them, right? Because like my kids, we were talking about, what if there's a fire at the house one day, and like they started having nightmares about having a fire in the house, right? So then, once they're aware, like, hey, we've got a plan. This is what the plan is. I've had those conversations with them.
It does really.
It relieves
calm
the
them
anxiety
down,
a lot.
for sure.
Yeah. I like a
but
Nintendo Switch better.
Did you see the video of the Chicago gangster telling
Who is
the
is
Trump
calling out
not
the
to
National
send
Guard?
Yeah, saying the National Guard doesn't want to show up because there's 100,000 of them with switches.
Have you ever seen a guy shoot with a switch?
I've seen them spray like the broadside of a barn with one. Yes.
Like they hit nothing.
No.
Nothing. Grand Thumb did a video on it where he took a Glock switch and he shot 7 yards away, and then an entire candy bar, like 30 round mag, and hit once.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a guy who's trained in shooting. All right, so you're very unlikely to actually get hit if somebody's shooting at you. Now, if there's like 10 of them shooting at you at once, you're probably going to get hit. Right?
There's strength in numbers. Yes.
Yeah. So it was what we call suppressive fire. 38s are okay. It's better than nothing. Right.
Great
Get
backup
a 9 if
gun.
you can.
Yeah.
Get a 9 if you can. It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. You can find the ammo everywhere. It's very hard to find a 9mm, especially a semi-auto that's not reliable.
And if you really like a revolver or want a backup pocket gun or something, you can get those in 9mm too. You need a moon clip, but it's so, especially if you already have a 9mm semi-auto, you can get a 9mm revolver, share the same ammo, things of that nature.
No, it's not really important. No, I run suppressors. I already have enough hearing damage. I don't need more. But I like suppressors for 2 reasons. One, my 300 blackout, you have no idea I'm shooting it if you're any more than 10 yards away.
Yeah,
you can't.
They're whisper
you can't
quiet.
even, you have no idea. Now
the
I have a
action of the gun
suppressor.
makes more noise.
Yeah, especially on bolt actions, man. But I have a suppressor on my 5.56, and that's not for sound suppression more than anything. It's to reduce the signature of the rifle.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want guys. If I'm shooting at somebody with my 5.56, it's so they don't see where the shot's coming from, and it suppresses the sound enough that it's hard for them to discern hearing wise where it's coming from. Is more what it's about for it. And not only that, but it helps a little bit, right? Like when I go shooting at the range, I've got Apple iPods in and Ear Pro on top of that, right? One, because I'm probably listening to something while I'm shooting. But 2, if you do
He listens to Anthony, really gets him in the mood.
I just tend to shoot faster when I'm listening to Anthony. But the goal is to help out with your hearing a little bit. But it also will increase the ballistics because it's pushing. If you don't have a flow through, if you have a normal suppressor, right, the old school suppressor, it's pushing more behind it, and it's actually giving you a little bit better ballistics. It won't make your gun more accurate, but it will give you a little bit better speed on the round.
And they're just, especially at the range, they're just more pleasant to shoot for you and everyone around you. Like,
and plus, the first rule of shooting is always look cool.
They look so cool, especially if you put a cool cover on them.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with those, man.
They light
they'll
up fire
overheat the
easier than you
suppressor.
think. Yeah.
If you're shooting a lot, they'll overheat the suppressor and cause more wear and tear on it. But otherwise, if you don't have a cover on it, then it's the forbidden popsicle and you don't want to touch it. You have to be very careful with it, especially if you hang a sling, right? You're hanging the weapon and it taps against your leg. You're going to have a nice little scar. Stances like stand, kneel, take a knee. You should learn how to shoot in every single way. Get accurate standing still first, right? Get your fundamentals. Take a class on somebody to teach you fundamentals. and then start learning how to shoot, taking a knee, behind barriers, moving and shooting, shooting from the ground, get used to how all these feel when you shoot, and you can understand like what your accuracy is like, right? So if you're having to be on the ground underneath a pew at church and you're having to shoot at a guy's feet, like how do you do that? How hard is it going to be for you to be able to get a sight picture on that target? You should learn how to shoot in every single way. Let's see what else we got.
Let's see here.
Man, I'm real far behind on the comments.
So this was talking about just observing people. So he's asking like we should learn what the normal is and looks for what's out of place or what's abnormal. I guess my question that I would add on to this is, what do you do when you're in a new place and you're not sure what that baseline is?
Here in the West, it translates the same pretty much everywhere. When you get into other cultures, it can be hard for us in the West. Like, when I got to Afghanistan, the first thing I had to learn was these people can lie better than anybody because they don't care about lying,
Right.
especially to the infidel, right? They don't
justified
care.
in their eye. Yeah.
Right. So, but here in the West, anywhere in the United States or Australia or Europe, everyone pretty much acts the same. You have to be aware of the people that aren't from that area, and they'll stick out like a sore thumb, right? You'll see people acting weird. You'll see people that are constantly fidgeting, right? They're probably on something of some type, some type of narcotic, some type of chemical of substance of some type, and which is going to change the rational capability of making decisions. And they're going to be much more irrational in their actions. And the best thing you do is right now, just to get used to it. When you go out, just start people watching, looking at people and looking like, keep an eye on the people because your gut instinct is going to tell you as well. You're going to be drawn to somebody that a little bit out, and you can't figure out why. Well, keep an eye on them and try and figure out what that is. And then you can start establishing a baseline for yourself. Now that you know this and you've heard this and someone's brought this to your attention, you're going to start noticing things you didn't notice before. Right. And so it's a matter of just keeping tabs on those things and learning from it.
One of something I started to do kind of for fun after I started carrying was kind of like trying to play a game, trying to notice who else like is carrying. Because once I kind of got used to it and figured out, how I had to change how I dressed, how I carried myself, things like that, I noticed I could start to pick that up on other people. And, I kind of became surprised at how many people it looked like was probably carrying that I would have never noticed before. I mean, is there other, I don't know if I want to call them games, but other games like that like people can do to help train this sort of behavior?
Just like I said, people watching is one, but you can. One thing that I used to do with friends when we used to go out back before I was married was I would watch people with them, and we would try and put like a story to like why they were there, right? And then once you start putting some type of context, then you're trying to justify why they did what they did, and then things will start happening that don't make sense, right? Even though you're making up the entire situation in your head, right? Then you're starting to start noticing like he keeps reaching in his pocket for something. Like what is that? He's fidgeting on something, right? And it may be nothing. It may just be like kids used to have fidget spinners, right? And whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of keeping an eye on things and starting to just look at people's behaviors. And if you need to create like context to it of why they would be there. If you go to a coffee shop and you're sitting down and you're doing some work or whatever, and just like start looking at people and trying to figure out their dynamic. Like, are they married? Are they friends? Are they dating? And you'll start to see little clues on things that kind of give you an indication of some of their behaviors and some of their actions and some of their thoughts and things like that.
What about backpacks with armor plates inside? Are they worth the price and reliable for some sort of defense against being shot?
Yeah. You're probably gonna get like some soft armor that goes in it. That way, it doesn't make it too heavy, which is the most likely situation that person's going to be in that they're going to need. So when it comes to body armor, you have different levels on what'll stop it. Okay, you have level 3, level 3A, level 3 plus, up to level 4. Level 3 and 3 plus will stop just about everything in the United States. Just about everything, right? You can get soft armor at 3A that'll stop almost all handguns, which is the most likely firearm you're gonna come in contact with. Level 4 will stop up to 30-06 armor piercing, which I don't know anybody who's ever even seen 30-06 armor piercing.
Your grandpa, he used it against the Japs in World War II.
Yeah, I've seen it in the military. Like I've heard stories of my grandfather because he was a machine gunner in World War II at Iwo Jima, but like that, you just can't buy that stuff.
No,
right? But it will stop it. But it's heavy, is the issue. Like I have level 4 plate.
Level 4 is going to be plate, right? They don't make level 4 soft armor. I mean, you're only going to get 3A and soft.
It's going to be it's going to be ceramic. Stay away from steel, only because steel's good for training, right? Like so, if you want to wear if you have a plate carrier, which is like body armor, which you see in all those shows, for those of you that aren't familiar, steel is good for training because it's heavy and it'll help train you on being able to carry that weight. But the issue with steel is spalling. Exactly. So what spalling is when a round hits the steel, it spreads out. It basically splatters, right? And a lot of times what you're worried about is it coming up, hitting the chin, because there's a lot of blood vessels under here. It can hit right into your extremities
or down into your legs. Yeah.
Yeah. Down into your groin, which is a lot of blood down there, which we talked about earlier with the pelvis shot. But, they have come up with anti-spall, and I have seen a lot of testing with steel plates, especially now when you get into what is called level 600 steel, or it's 600 steel, which is a lot harder. But the issue is still it's super heavy. You can get ceramic plates at like half, and now you can get ceramic plates that are just the same price as steel. Who is it? Republic Armor, is that who it is? They regularly have sales. You can buy 2 plates for like $300. Like I have level 4. I don't wear a plate carrier a lot, or really hardly ever. It's more, I more have it to give to my wife and the kids for them to have, to protect them from anything, getting shot in the chest. But it doesn't stop you getting shot in the pelvis or the extremities or the head, right? You're mostly covering your heart and your lungs. But as far as the backpack armor, it's probably going to be 3A. It's going to be soft. It's going to stop handgun rounds. And that's the most likely thing that, you or your kids are going to come in contact
with. That's everything I had kind of saved.
I was way behind on comments.
So if you look, this is going to kind of be behind the scenes, but so you can star a comment, and then up top there's a tab for live and starred.
Yeah.
So any super chat automatically gets starred and goes up there.
Gotcha.
But if you are seeing comments as we talk and you want to save it for later, hit the star on that comment, and then it will go up to that tab.
Where's that one that you had about the Bernie shirt? So
I was just starring stuff to show you. I don't know.
Gotcha. So that when Antifa was going on, the Proud Boys, what they would do is they would go around and find the Antifa and find what cars they came in and slap Trump stickers on their cars. So the Antifa would vandalize their own cars. If y'all, so from here, the shows I have we have lined up, next Monday, we've got Chivalry Guild coming on. The guy who runs the Chivalry Guild, Twitter, he does a lot of good content. If y'all don't read his stuff, you need to. And he goes a lot into how Christianity is much more militant than it has been over the last 60 years. There's a lot of good content about what righteous anger is and things of that sort. His book is fantastic. If you don't have it, he's coming out with a second edition of it. but he's coming on, and then we've got, like I said, we've got somebody from the Telegram chat coming on to do a med show with us. In fact, I just got a new, well, it's not really an IFAC. They call it a travel fact from Refuge Medical. I'm going to be checking it out, and I might get Christopher to look at it when we go through it as well, because I have an IFAC in all of my vehicles, and I have a few in the house, and it's mostly for, especially the ones in the house, are for like if we have a farm accident, right? Like for instance, one of the cows stepped on my wife's foot, and it's been like bruised for like a year. You know, but if something were to happen and I'm out like doing something with the fence and I get cut real bad, my kids know where to go get the tourniquet, or my wife knows where to go get it. But I have them in all my cars because I'm much more likely to use medical than I am to ever use a firearm.
100%. Yeah.
If I come up on a car accident, I've got the capability to be able to help people out. So we'll have a show on that. And I've got another show lined up with a friend of mine named Mike Shelby, who runs Forward Observer. And he's a former Intel analyst in the Army, and then he went back as a contractor as an Intel analyst. And he has a really good channel and a really good product on basically a open source intelligence report to kind of give you an idea of what's going on right now, especially around the country. Yeah. But he also does a really good class on developing what's called an area study. And everyone should have an area study. You should develop an idea of everything that's in your immediate vicinity and what those threats are and what those vulnerabilities are, so you can be prepared to deal with them, because intel drives ops. And so he'll come on and he'll talk about a lot of that. So we'll be able to, and I'm going to act like I've never heard of it. So I'm going to ask him some really dumb questions, because I know a lot of y'all.
I've never done one. So I'm excited for that one.
Good. It'll be a good show. Now, and then further shows from there. I'm going to start putting out some shorts. We might do like an EDC show, right? Like what we each carry. Yeah. And it's not only going to be the firearm, but like some other things I carry on myself just in case, some other things, but we got some good stuff coming up. Let's see. Could you guys post a list of gun tubers y'all recommend? I'll post some that I like. I don't know if I'd recommend them, some of them, because since I got out of the Marines, it has been really hard for me not to curse as much. Yeah. And these other guys don't really have that conscious tickling them to get them to stop doing that. So I don't know if I'd recommend them, but just because they use a lot of harsh language a lot of times. But I mean, I will post some that I like. Like y'all saw King Picks, he's great, but his is mostly comedy. But he does a lot of good cross content with some other guys. But I'll post some more that I like. Just go to my my Twitter and I'll start posting some.
One that I would definitely recommend is Paul Harrell. He died a year ago, a couple of days ago was the anniversary. And his brother is still running the channel, but his content that he did is
ballistic stuff was awesome. He would take meat from the grocery store and wrap clothing around it and shoot it to show you how the rounds actually affected it.
He'd have pork chop pectorals. He'd have ribs behind that. He'd have leather, acting as skin. Yeah. It's just amazing stuff. Yeah. And his humor was just perfect.
It's very dry, which I liked. Not a lot of people like that British dry humor.
It takes some getting used to.
It does, but it's so good. How often do you guys fly with your gun in storage? It does depend on where you are going. Obviously, no one is going to carry openly on a plane. All right. So I will not fly with a gun. I will not check it because I don't want them to lose it. And it's not a monetary thing. When I get there and I don't have it, I feel naked. Yeah. If I'm going somewhere and it's within 10 hours drive, I'm just going to drive. If it's more than 10 hours, then I just know I may not come home because I'm having to fly. Someone needs to make a business where you can rent a carry gun, and they need to find out the legality of it. right? Where if I can get somewhere, I can rent a carry gun and then, turn it back in when I'm about to leave. If we could find out the legality behind that, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So I do fly with guns. I mean, I don't fly very often, just because, like, I don't know, I have 4 kids, and that means I'm either flying alone for a business thing, or we're all flying together, which is nearly impossible. But yeah, it's doable. Like Adrian said, they very well might lose it. So don't
Mhm.
put a gun you absolutely need or as super expensive. You
Mhm.
need it's got to be one you're willing to lose or have
Yeah.
lost. Um, and it's definitely a pain. Like anyone who was here at the beginning of the show, you heard the story where they didn't lose it, but because I fly to and from, a small airport, like when I got in at 11:30, it was locked in a closet somewhere because everyone went home.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, that's the gun I was planning on carrying with me home, and my home's 2 hours
Mhm.
away. I don't want to. It adds a complexity. So either
Yeah.
be willing to deal with it, or if you're not, be willing to go without a gun.
Yeah. And if you're flying somewhere and you plan on carrying, you need to know the laws that are there.
Yes.
Because you could get wrangled up. Like, for instance, with the suppressors, if you cross state lines, I have to call the ATF and let them know that I'm going out of the state with my suppressor.
I
and have to
I
file a
won't fly
form
with
with
it.
them. Right. But even still, like, I won't drive through Illinois, right? Because
Yep,
they are
same.
very unforgiving on concealed carry.
I drive around,
Yeah.
or I don't bring the gun.
Yeah.
It's just
Exactly.
worth it to drive around. One app I use for that, and I don't know if you can use it without subscribing, but I use an app by USCCA, which is kind of like a concealed carry insurance sort of program. Even if you don't use their insurance, if you can try to use the app, it's worth it. But it's a
Yeah.
reciprocity map. So I tell it what sort of concealed carry permit I have from where, and it
Mhm.
will give the laws or it will show which states I can carry in. And so, like, we're traveling to Michigan tomorrow. I have a concealed carry permit in Minnesota. So I just click, it shows me Michigan accepts reciprocity from Minnesota. Click on
Mhm.
Michigan. I read all the laws.
Mhm.
Like, so for instance, Michigan has a duty to inform when you're contacted by law enforcement. So the
Mhm.
second law enforcement contacts me in Michigan, I have to tell them. In
Yeah.
Minnesota, there's no duty to inform. I'm not used to it.
Mhm.
If a cop pulls me over, I don't have to tell him. If he asks
Yeah.
me, do I have a gun? Yes, I have to be truthful,
Mhm.
but I don't have to inform. So you have to be aware of the differing laws.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. So if they ever pass the nationwide reciprocity for concealed carry, I think that business idea would have a lot more standing.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to invest in that, and you could probably get around. You could probably, like, ship your gun to an FFL before you get there, and then pick it up from them. Maybe you could do that. I'd trust that a whole lot more than take it with me on a plane.
True.
Now, you can only really do FedEx for that because UPS doesn't do firearms anymore, and FedEx, a lot of firearms are stolen from them. If you ever see some of these channels that are for companies like Palmetto State, like they're putting out stuff all the time, like how many firearms are stolen on shipments from them all the time. So, but I mean, national reciprocity, you're basically just buying back your right, right? And the Second Amendment is the only one that you have to buy your right back.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that will change, but who knows? All right, do we have any other questions?
So yeah, there are states that offer out of state permits, like Florida is one. So
I think Arizona's one.
yeah. So figure out what states you want. Like you travel to semi regularly. Figure out what states they accept permits from. So, like, I knew I didn't do it. I should have at the time, but like when the place I signed up for to do my Minnesota class also offered at the same time out of state Florida. same class. They just, for an extra $50, they do the paperwork for the out of state Florida.
Yeah.
I should have done it because with a Minnesota permit and an out of state Florida permit, you can carry in nearly every state at that point. But
Yeah. Just stay away from the Northeast.
true.
It's like a communist wall up there. That in California. Like the kind of guns that Californians have to buy, they have to be altered and they're approved through the state.
Stupidest looking ARs in the world.
They're so dumb looking. I don't know who's that guy who's out of California, who caters to a lot of guys who shoot out of California. I can't remember his name, but he does a lot of California content. And the guns I see him shoot, like they have the fin behind the grip on the ARs because they're not allowed to have a pistol grip unless you have like an grandfather AR.
Right. But some of the laws they're talking about for Minnesota now because of this recent shooting. I think the worst parts are probably not going to be able to be passed, but like I wouldn't be surprised if they do a 10-round magazine sort of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope not.
And as well, if you want to buy a suppressor, I would do it now.
Yeah.
After January, when the $200 fee goes away, right now a lot of these suppressor companies are building up stock to be prepared for January 1st. But after January 1st, if you buy a suppressor, it's going to be way more expensive than it is right now, just because the demand is going to be a whole lot higher because you have to pay the $200 tax stamp fee.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to buy a suppressor, do it now. And it's super short. When I did my last suppressor, I got it in 47 hours. Right now, the suppressor I got before that, it took me 14 months. So if you can do it now, do it. Silencer Shop is good. Silencer Central is fine.
I did the PSA route for my
PSA.
first
PSA
one,
is very similar to Silencer Central. Yeah,
smooth.
they do the same thing. And PSA, for guys that may not want to come out of pocket $1,000, you can use Sezzle, which is like a 0% 4-month payment plan type of thing. But they'll go ahead and send you the suppressor, and then you pay for it over the next whatever 4 payments are. But you can buy very good suppressors for like $400. YHM makes a really good suppressors. You don't have to buy a super expensive one. Now, some of them are going to work better than others and have better sound quality than others, but most suppressors are going to be perfectly adequate for what you want.
Yeah, a lot of the super expensive ones are, they're just super lightweight titanium ones, for people carrying them hunting into the backwoods, and it's just not necessary for most guys.
That would be amazing. Having a 2-hour return time. Basically, you put in the application, you go home, have lunch, you come back. That'd be amazing.
Taffy's question on 380, like Bobby answered, it is the bare minimum. I every once in a while I will carry a 380. Like, well, the PPK I just bought is 380.
I mean, you could get by with the 22.
You could,
honestly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shooting out past 10 yards, but you could get by with the 22. Like I have a Kel-Tec P17. I bought that thing for like $160. I'd carry that if I had to. Now I've got a 22 suppressor on it, and that thing is super fun to shoot, and nobody has any idea I'm shooting it. Like that's something like I'll just carry around the property and just like shoot occasionally, and nobody has any idea I'm doing it. And 22 ammo is super cheap.
Yeah,
you can buy good quality 22 ammo for like 8 cents a round, so you can buy 1,000 rounds for like $80.
And there are lots of newer rounds too that are coming out that they're not popular or common now, and they might not ever be, but 5.7 is new, and that's really a 22 caliber round. Now, is it same as the 9mm?
Mm-hmm.
No, but it's a hell of a lot better than just a 22 Magnum or 22 long rifle or 22 Magnum. And there's other new rounds too that are coming out. I think we'll see, caliber smaller than 38, which is 38, 380, 9mm.
Yeah.
That end up being really good.
I wouldn't carry 40, mostly because it's very snappy. The FBI back after the LA shootout, back in the 90s, switched from 9mm 9mm to 40
But
because it had better ballistics.
they went to 9 to 10, found their
Yeah.
guys can't shoot 10, and then went to
Yeah.
40. Yeah.
So 40 is like a marriage between a 9mm and 10mm. The issue with the 40 is my first Glock I had was a 40 because that's what all the cops were carrying. I was like, oh, that's all I carry. The issue is the follow-on shot after the first shot is very hard to reacquire your sight picture. And now the ballistics on the 9mm are very close to a 40. You're better off with the 9mm.
And
Just
you
go with the
get
plus B,
you get an extra round or two usually with 9 as opposed to 40.
and it's cheaper.
40 is more expensive.
Yeah. On a flow-through can, you're looking at minimum $1,000. But the reason for a flow, the way that a suppressor works, when the round goes through the barrel and it goes through the suppressor is blocking a lot of that gas and it's pushing it back through the gun. So you end up getting a lot of gas in the face if you don't have it properly calibrated. But even if you have it properly calibrated, you're still going to get some, right? A flow-through can, it works very similarly. It's not going to have as good sound suppression, but it's a lot of that extra gas is falling behind the round, so they're not getting all that gas in your face. So if you're concerned, if you want to be an organic shooter, then go with a flow through as well. But flow through eventually the technology will catch up to a conventional can.
It's cleaner for the gun, cleaner
Much
for
cleaner.
you.
It's not as hard on the gun
Yeah.
at all. Because when you're pushing all that gas back, it's forcing a lot of it onto the gun and it's causing it to slam harder, right? So when your bolt is rotating and allowing that firing pin to go through, it's putting a lot more wear on the gun.
One of the downsides to them is depending on the gun you're running and its action and gas system. It might I guess the rounds that would cycle with the normal suppressor through that gun may not cycle with the flow through because you're losing some of the gas pressure that would otherwise operate the action. So it depends.
Yeah. All right. We have any other questions? Otherwise, we're going to call it.
I was going to say
you got to get up early, and I got to get up early.
They just keep coming.
Yeah, we're gonna keep having these, right? If y'all have more questions, put them in the comments, and I come back and I check them the next day, and I'll answer any questions I can that are in there, and I check it over the next few days. But otherwise, we've got another show coming on Monday. We've got Chivalry Guild coming on. I don't know how long we can have them. Hopefully for at least an hour, but we can answer more questions then if y'all have some. But again, leave them in the comments otherwise, because I'll look at them. Rob looks at them.
And we're both available on Twitter. And
get on
Adrian's got a lot more expertise than I do, but
we'll get you there. You just need to shoot some more. Hopefully you never have to get on a 2-way range.
That's the thing. I wish the nearest place for training opportunities are 4 hours away, but
really.
Yeah.
There's one of the guys I'm looking to get in the class through his regular guy training. He's a good follow on YouTube as well.
I like his videos. He makes
he's
fun
an
of
autistic
Asians.
Asian, right? So like he's really nit and gritty with the numbers. But he's a really good follow to be able to watch his stuff. But he's got a class here in Alabama, probably I think it's about an hour and a half away from me. And I think the total class is over 2 days. You're shooting just about 2,000 rounds between rifle and pistol.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's
but
good.
Thankfully his class is only like, $350, right? Cause I'm going to be spending another $350, $400 in ammo. But get training, guys. And then, we'll try and give you all as much information as we can, but that does not, stop you from the responsibility of going out and getting your own training, your own information. You'll need to be going out and studying these things and learning these things because the responsibility falls on you, not on us. We're just trying to be a community here to be able to give y'all a sounding board for these things. If y'all have things that y'all want us to talk about, if I don't know about it, I'll find somebody who does and bring them on. But just let us know, DM us, leave comments, and we'll be able to work in whatever we can. Are you gonna teach that, Bobby? It's legal to
Okay.
buy ammunition rounds now.
Is it?
Yeah, that was just passed with like in the last month.
How bad they hurt?
They hurt bad.
Do they?
They're
How
real
much
bad.
worse than a paintball?
Way worse than the paintball.
Way worse than a paintball.
Way worse than the paintball. Like I've never had a. Well, I'll take that back. I have paintball draw blood, but on ammunition rounds, they consistently draw blood.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna cut it from here. Like I said, leave any comments that y'all have, any questions, and we'll answer them. Otherwise, you can get a hold of us on Twitter or X, wherever you want to call it now. I
What
thought
is
about
that
it.
from?
I thought about using everyone else's catchphrases.
We should do dad advice after we say we got nothing more.
Dad advice. Never let your kids pick up a frog if they're not prepared to be peed on.
Never let your dog eat a frog or toad unless you're prepared for your walls to be repainted.
All right, guys, that's gonna be it.
Okay.
Y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all soon.